expense. For a limited time, Mutual Community and Health Partners members with optical cover may, in most cases, also receive spectacles with no out-of-pocket expense. Then, if you want spectacles in most cases with no out-of-pocket expense year after year, change to Medibank Private and receive a $100 Maya gift voucher for making the change. The Optical Superstore, Maya City, TTP and Marion.
I look after restorations, gutters, iron roofs, emergency repairs, anything to seal your roof.
And I seal your home with my very own top quality roller shutter. And it's 30% off if you phone now.
1300 36 7070.
Nice to have you back on the program. Well, the sport of boxing has again come under fire following a recent tragedy in the ring. And while I don't believe it's possible to ban the sport altogether, it's clear that radical changes need to be made to ensure the safety of its competitors. I mean, let's face it, you will never ever ban boxing, despite the fact that it's nothing more than an excuse for men and women these days to beat the crap out of each other. It will always exist as a sport. So instead, let's find ways of making it safer. We need to put in place more stringent testing to ensure that individual competitors are fit enough to fight in the first place. We also need to ensure that competitors are properly matched and not competing completely out of their class, as happened earlier this year when Anthony Mundine was up against that out-of-form New Zealand boxer Gerard Zos. Well, no, as I said before, you will never ever ban boxing, but I believe it's high time we looked at ways of making it safer. They're my thoughts on the matter. Let's hear from some of the beauties. Renee, you agree or disagree with me?
I actually totally agree with you, Stan. The only thing I really like about boxing is the Rocky movies. I thought that was sensational.
They were good, weren't they?
Yeah, they were really good. But the problem with those movies,
I saw Rocky
of course,
1 7 times, you know that?
Did you?
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend once who loved that movie, so I saw it 2 or 3 times. But, you know, and Rocky Balboa, the problem with him was that he glamorised the sport. And I don't understand what the audience can get out of it, what the boxers get out of it. I know that it's a sport and it's a challenge and all the rest, but I think absolutely we need to put methods in place to make it safer for people. Yeah, and I think that, you know, the less people support these sports, the less people will want to do them, and perhaps they will get, you know, fade out. All
right. Fiona, have you ever been to a boxing match?
No, but I recently hired a video called Girl Fight, which won the Sundance Film Award, and it features a female boxer. She starts out being on the wrong side of the tracks, and she gets into fights at school and everything, and then her brother's learning boxing, and she goes on and learns boxing and ends up beating her boyfriend. And to a degree, like Renee said, it's glamorising the whole concept of boxing. I mean, boxing is meant to be a blood sport, but I do agree with you, Stan. I think, you know, ways of making sure that fit fighters are fit enough to compete, that they're matched equally with other, you know, similar fighters. Also, too, though, you don't want to make it sterile. I mean, the whole point of boxing is to have a bloodbath. I mean, that's what it is. It's not my taste, but it's about beating the crap out of each other, as you say. But yeah, fit fighters matched appropriately is good. Absolutely.
Can we just go back to Fiona and just put her name and title up on the screen again, because I must admit I've never seen this. This is just quite amazing. If we put this up on the screen, we will have the lovely Fiona, and it's down the bottom there, Witch. Now, anybody walking into this program, walking into a pub for the first time, and they say, well, what sort of business is she in? She's a witch.
I'm a witch. Maybe we could say best-selling author, television personality, radio personality, singer, all these things, but I'm a witch.
Witch. OK, Ida.
Well, I don't see why you can't ban boxing. I've always been opposed to boxing.
What are we going to have under ITA? No, we have nothing under ITA, just ITA.
I mean, Fiona said people go to see a bloodbath, people belting the crap out of each other. I don't see anything sporting about boxing. I think it should be banned. We're supposed to be a humane society.
You've been to boxing matches?
Never.
You didn't go to the Rocky Gattalari fights in the old days?
Never.
I'm sure that you were sitting at ringside there.
Never.
In fact, I think there was a well-documented thing where you actually got sweat all over your beautiful little dress.
And as for women boxing, I think that's the most disgusting development in this so-called sport that's ever happened. I think it should be banned.
That's Germaine Greer for you again. You know, we want equality. You got it, baby.
Nothing to do with Germaine Greer. It's to do with people wanting to make money. It's always to do with people wanting to make money. That's all it's about.
OK. Gillian.
I agree with you, Stan, completely. I don't think it's the spirit of sport when somebody is injured that badly, and particularly when it's not a competition. If the two boxers aren't at the same level...
What I get annoyed about are these mismatches. The mismatches that go on. Yeah, you got the young up-and-coming champion who's going to fight the old warhorse sort of thing, and they can just completely out different matches.
Well, that's not the spirit of sport to me, so I don't agree with it at all.
Absolutely. Maureen, how many boxing matches have you been to?
Many.
Have you?
Yes, I was brought up on it as a little child.
All right.
Some of the people out there would be old enough to remember Hockey Burnell and Tommy Burns.
Oh, hockey, eh?
Yes, I used to spend most of
Jimmy
the time...
Carruthers?
Well, no, that was after my time, but I used to spend most of the time under the seat, even at the age of 8, 9,
This
10.
was in the tent boxing, wasn't it?
Leichhardt Stadium in Sydney, New South Wales. We used to go there. My father was very keen on it. And I've always hated it. And then in the Catholic schools where I was educated, they also had it as a sport, and it was just so terrible. Fortunately, they don't have it as a sport now. And I think, Stan, you're irresponsible in even suggesting that we could fix it. You should be saying what Ita's saying. It should be banned because one day it will be.
Maureen, you will never stop people.
One day you will.
You won't. You won't.
It will. Listen.
We will never ban it. We will never ban it because there's too much money involved in it for a start. But what I'm saying to you is, you know, boxing can be an interesting sport if you have two boxers that are perfectly matched. Where you get the problem is when one boxer is not as good as the other.
It's usually young folk that don't have the opportunities of others that get into the ring to box. They're going to fame that way.
It is a way, it has traditionally been a way up out of the ghetto for a lot of people, but that's the sad thing because they're going to have to do it by having the soft tissue of their brain bruised. That's the whole idea of boxing. It's to knock that soft tissue of the brain against the hard cranium, the skull. It's barbaric. It's hideous. But I'm a pluralist. I don't believe this. You can ban
Pluralist.
it.
Does that mean there's two of you, Jan?
Yep.
We're going to come back, folks, and we're going to talk about heterophobia. What? Heterophobia.
She's the best PR person in the business.
You have a tiny little nervous breakdown. Let's get crazy.
For totally divine madness.
Hey,